What's up, JFW family? Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch the fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. Good morning, men.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
We got badass Jim White, singer-songwriter, music producer, Dave White, and Gutter Boy.
Gutter Boy Weldon.
Dave Weldon.
I know that drawing downstairs from George about Super Dave there with his shield and
man.
he's got his mustache. I think that's a pretty good one.
It is
It is
great.
awesome.
Yeah, that's Super Dave sticks.
Jorge puts a lot of thought into those pictures before he draws them,
He does.
you know.
Yeah.
That's why I got the Spartan helmet.
Nice.
Very personal.
Yep, no doubt. Well, let's kick off with the pledge. I've been looking forward to this part all morning.
Absolutely.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bam! That's how you do it.
Did we blow the speakers out on that
No,
one?
you guys were
Good.
great.
I got like
It sounds-
something on my speaker. Am I going to make a bunch of speaker noise here? It's kind of gross. I don't know how to use this. Well, Dave, no, it's not pubic hair.
Just a good booger.
It's like somebody
So-
had some splatter. Somebody was eating the mic.
Some kind of dried up liquid. When I was working at the pawn shop, this guy comes in and he's got a microphone. And it's like an expensive mic. And he's like, this is brand new. It's never been used. And I open it up and there's like whiskers in it. So I'm like, well, whose whiskers are these? Well, I tried it one time. I'm like, yeah.
But he didn't have a beard?
That's funny.
Well, there's all the dad jokes. We can go on.
Yeah.
Right?
Just as a reminder, before anybody gets crazy, this is just our opinion, not JFW's opinion. Episode 65, 265 downloads. We are trending downwards. I think just again because of the weather. We're at 24,372 total downloads, but our total followers went up again, 160 followers. So
Very cool.
pretty happy about that.
That is awesome.
And we picked up Puerto Rico. So
Very cool.
hola, Puerto Rico.
Yep.
I was kind of talking to Super Dave about this yesterday. It's just this juvenile case that's been sticking out. There's kids in court, and the judge is trying to decide custody if he's going to go to the mom or to the dad, right? And the kid speaks up. He's like, I don't want to go to either one. Both my parents, they both beat me. So the judge is, talking to the lawyers and this and that, and they're like, all right, well, we're going to send you to your aunt's house. And the kid's like, no, that's even worse. My aunts beat me twice as hard as my mom and dad combined. So they go to the judge's chambers and they're like, all right, well, it sounds like your grandparents will take you. And the kid, he's 16, he's pretty smart at this point. He's like, you guys don't understand, this is generational. Like, this is just what my family does. So the judge is just like, well, who, if you got to pick, who would you want to have custody? And he's like, well, the Denver Broncos can't beat anybody, so.
Ba-da-ba.
Boom. It's time.
They will next year, Jam.
Whatever. I don't even follow football. I just thought
That
was a
joke
good
was originally a Dallas Cowboy joke, and I said, dude, you got to throw the Broncos in there.
Right? That's funny. You heard they got a new name, didn't you? The Denver Saints?
Well,
The new coach, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Welcome to
let's-
Denver, Sean Payton.
let's hope we can turn it around
Yep.
with better leadership.
Oh, man. That would just be phenomenal, wouldn't it?
He's tried and true.
Dave,
Been to the
I-
Super Bowl and won.
Yeah. I had my hopes set so high for I'll say last season, right? But, man, I fell apart. I mean, I lost a whole bet to Mikey. I owe the guy a cheeseburger. Then he bet me on the 49ers game, and I lost again. So
Yeah.
I've lost twice now. I
Yeah.
owe 2 lunches.
double cheeseburger.
Right?
Double
The
First thing
yeah.
he came in saying, cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger.
Right? Yeah. He's got my number.
Absolutely.
Tom, are you
Yeah.
Ready?
I can do my joke. So
do it?
if pilgrims traveled on the Mayflower, what do college students travel on?
The party bus.
Oh man, I don't know.
Yeah.
Scholarships.
Scholarships.
That's very good.
Okay.
That was for Sam.
Yeah, for sure.
Very good, actually.
All right. Do any of you guys know? I guess I should be sure I'm saying this right. Why does a chicken coop have two doors? Mikey might get this.
Yeah.
This one's for you, Mikey, since you got a chicken
got
coop at
his
home.
chickens.
Why does a chicken coop only have two doors?
I think of something about a sports coop, Dave, or whatever. How is that one? There's something.
You're on the right track, Jim. If it had four doors, it'd be a chicken sedan.
Okay.
Oh, instead of a coop.
Well, mine's just as lame as that one. What type of market should you never bring your dog to?
Flea market.
Good one.
Well, I was going to say Hawaii since there's no dogs over there, Dave.
Yeah. All right, I'll follow up with
Those
another
dogs.
one. What is a robot's favorite snack? This one might be better.
Robot's favorite.
snack.
Mouse.
Computer chips.
That's a good one, Dave.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
True dad jokes.
Right?
Except for
Rolling
mine.
them.
Except for mine. Mine wasn't a dad joke. New employees, we got Armando Del Val, Rafael Tapia, and Jose Olvera. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, welcome you
Welcome
guys.
aboard.
Welcome.
Excited to have you.
Yeah.
Celebrations, anniversary. Jack Domenico, 2 years today.
Woo!
Yeah.
Good job, Jack.
Happy
Congratulations.
anniversary,
Thank
Jack.
you.
Yeah. Jack's become, I don't know, he's just a good face to see. He's been there 2 years, and it's been fun getting to know Jack. And, yeah,
Silent Warrior.
Yeah.
not so silent all the time. When you get him going, man, those F-bombs just start rolling.
He's a dude.
He's
Yeah.
he just wants to be a dude.
Dude,
is
yeah,
the
it's
thing.
good.
Yep.
Does his job. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Birthdays. We got Aaron Scrivener and Jeff Soto share a birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Ann and Jeff.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Happy anniversary. Happy birthday. Sorry.
And then family birthday celebration. Jorge P., his daughter Lauren, is turning, she's got a birthday on the 3rd. Yeah.
I'm going
But
with
no,
she's turning two on the third. Is that
no,
what that means?
her birthday's February 3rd. I think she's close to the Bella's age. But happy birthday, Lauren. I need to get some more info from George. We'd like to send her something, but I think she's in South Africa. So
Gotcha.
we got to figure some things out
Yeah, we have
there.
to do something there.
Yep. And then this is interesting. Sue Hawk and Jackie Weldon share a birthday on February 4th.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, that's cool.
So-
Happy birthday, Sue
Happy
and
birthday,
Jackie.
ladies.
Yep. Happy birthday. Shout outs. Let's see. Oh, man, I'm doing a terrible job here. This shout out was from Francisco. He wanted to give a shout out to the family members that help each other out. 0086 Rosario, 0049 Omar Santa Cruz, 0050 Steve Barnes helped Francisco out with a frozen load of overburden in Alma. So there was a video on TikTok or something, and I thought it was Francisco's video, but it was Mr. Perfecto's. And in Spanish, it said just supervising. And there's 3 guys in the trailer shoveling.
Wait a minute. Rosario's making TikTok videos?
Yeah.
A whole nother side of him I didn't know.
I think so. Jared told me it was Rosario's TikTok. So.
Okay. All right.
Yep. And then Veronica wanted to give a shout out to the teams that's delivering out to Burlington. The loaders out there said that he's amazed on how well JFW has been delivering to them and how organized we are.
Oh,
that's
very cool.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
When you get that customer thank you or recognition, there's nothing that beats that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I do want to back up. I feel like we emphasized more of the TikTok video than those guys all helping each other out, because the video was really cool. I mean, obviously you saw it, Jim.
Yeah, you saw it?
Yeah, the TikTok video, right? But I mean, all those guys were in there. They all had their PPE on. They were all grouped up, right at the end of the trailer, just shoveling out a mess.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that stuff was a mess up there in Alma. It had refroze, and it was awful. So cool to see everybody just hop in there and just get it done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What those 4 guys got accomplished versus 1.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was 4 times faster, right? It was very impressive to see. So thank you all you guys. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that there was a lot stuck in there, wasn't there, Dave?
Yeah.
In
I
the
mean, they
video.
were at the back 8 feet of the trailer, and the little video didn't show through to the front, but you could tell
Oh, yeah.
the whole load was in there.
They had a ways to
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. The fun had just begun, right?
Yeah. Good thing Rosario was just supervising.
Well, he was supervising with a shovel in his hand, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Well,
doubt.
that's how you got to look the part, isn't that like the joke about the state? You know, 1 guy working and 3 guys holding shovels or whatever.
right,
When you
right.
see him filling a pothole.
Yeah.
Just go grab some dirt, get some oil on you, hold a rag in your hand, and
Yep.
you're working.
There you go.
Worked all day, right?
Yep. You guys got any shout outs?
Yeah, I got Jim Senior called me, or I talked to him this week, Jim. And, this time of year, he knows how the weather is and different stuff like that. And, might be a little slow. It's also cold because he's asked me how's the weather and that kind of stuff and what we've been going through. And he just kind of wanted to give a general shout out to everybody because he says, this time of year is always hard on everybody.
Sure.
Either slow or cold if you're working and stuff like that. So
Yep.
from Jim Senior, he said, give everybody a pat on the back and what a great job they're doing.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim, and hi, Jim.
And then just wanted to bring one more thing up. I looked it up today, and I don't know if everybody knows it. I mean, if you have a college student or an athlete, you learn about this or you get educated because it's pretty important. But today is National Signing Day. Since 1981, it's been the first Wednesday in February.
Is that how they denote that, Jim?
Yep.
First Wednesday in February.
Yeah, first Wednesday in February for the winter season. This is one of them for the winter athletes.
Right.
So on today, you guys, and this is a shout out to Dave's son, Sam White. He signs an NLI today, National Letter of Intent at school.
Nice.
And if everybody didn't know, I know Dave's mentioned it, but he's going to go to Purdue University, and those are the Boilermakers. And I had to look it up because I just was like, okay, what's their sayings, what's their different stuff, and their cheers and stuff. And so there, I thought it was kind of funny or fit us anyway, but it's Boiler Up, Hammer Down, Hail Purdue.
Ooh.
So then I thought, okay, so now I got to dig some more. What's their creed? What do they believe in? And it's pretty known as a engineering school, but their thing they pride themselves on is we are determined to build ourselves and our community always one brick higher. We are ever grateful, ever true. We are one Purdue. So I thought that was interesting. And then they believe in the 6 pillars of success, and that is integrity, respect, honor, inclusion, innovation, and growth.
Wow.
So I thought, good school. Congratulations, Sam. And I kind of wanted to bring it back around to us because Sam's gotten that scholarship because he spent hours and hours in the pool, week after week of going to practice since he was, when did he start, Dave? 7?
Yeah, like 5.
Right?
Man, I wonder if you added up all his swimming, how far he would have swam in his lifetime.
Oh man, Jim,
Yeah, is that 3-4 times around the
I
world,
was
Jam?
gonna say,
Right?
all the way around the world.
Right?
Yeah.
And what I want to end it with is obviously he spent all this time and all this work, and we talk about the work and we talk about all that stuff, but one thing about this is the scholarship is something you earn, and through the years, not to take anything away from the conversation of Sam, but Erica also had a sports scholarship. Each year it renewed, and she was always worried about being offered the scholarship again. How was her season? How did she work? Because it's a 1 year at a time. Is how
Performance-based.
it's
Yeah.
performance based, right? You guys,
You earn it.
You earn it. So Sam's earned it to this point, but years of working, and he can lose it. But I wanted to make that point, and we talk about it here, is the school's not going to take it away from him, you guys. The school doesn't take it away.
Right.
He loses it, right?
didn't earn it.
He didn't earn it.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to just throw out the point, that's through everything with life. And when we talk about like your safety bonus or your PTO or different stuff like that, that's because of all that hard work. You can easily get that. But if you didn't earn it, you don't get it. And we don't take it away from you. You just don't earn it. And here's all these students, these young people learning that, in the beginning of life and the time they put in. So, yeah, so shout out to Sam. Congratulations, buddy.
Great
Thanks,
job,
Jim.
Sam. Are you guys, is the signing something that you go to? I see you got your Purdue shirt on.
We are for, this afternoon.
He's repping better than I am today, Jim.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, Dave
Well-
gave you some swag, Jim.
Janet did. Janet hooked us up. I got to pat her on the back. She found the coolest stuff for all of us to wear. He had another signing at his club event, and she hooked us up. It's nice stuff. But
Let's put it this way, Dave. There isn't one family member not repping Purdue.
yeah,
I'm sure.
we boil her up, Dave.
Yeah, not one family member.
I think Watson, Eric, or Allie's dog. I think he's got a sweater.
got a
that
little
says-
shirt.
yeah.
I've boilered up before in a bar with the Boilermakers. Yeah, I never knew.
And that's where it all comes from, the steam engine, the
Boilermakers.
Boilermakers, yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool. In my past life. Funny. Good stuff. Soup, you got any shout-outs?
Boy, I'd have to think about that, Jim. You're catching me off guard.
You only care about yourself. Fine.
I'm in the gutter.
Oh, man. Oh, that's awesome. Dave showed me a picture. So this was a club signing?
That was the club signing.
Got
yeah.
it. Is it the same signing? They just do it at the club?
It is, yeah, Jim.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I could have it backwards here because the way Jim says it, but I believe in the summer, the winter athletes sign,
Huh.
and in the winter, the summer athletes sign because they're not participating in their sports, I think. But I could have that.
Yeah, this is-
I'm usually the opposite guy, so
Yeah, this is.
I'm probably backwards, and it's winter for the winter sports and summer for the summer sports.
Yeah, I tried to look that up, and I don't remember, Dave, because like football doesn't have to right now.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's a football thing because obviously that's the largest sporting event for colleges
Yeah.
is football. It makes the most draw. But yeah, this is usually the beginning of the signing season, so it's the biggest one, and it's always denoted by the first Wednesday in February.
Yeah, I'll try and get some pictures, Jam, but I think there's, at his high school today, I know there's at least 30 different colleges going to be represented there for signing day. But I mean, I think that's a graduating class of 300 or 400.
Gotcha.
So,
Anybody else going to Purdue for other sports?
not for other sports, but he's got several swimmers
Oh.
that, actually on his team. Another girl that'll be there today that goes to his school and stuff like that.
So that's cool. He'll go to Purdue and know people there.
Oh, totally.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I mean, it has. Colorado has become just a massive swim base.
Really?
And you wouldn't think being landlocked that it's that common. And
Right.
I mean, we have, when I say we, I just take that on, right? Because I participated so much in it. But USA Swimming, I mean, Colorado, I think, is ranked like 8th or 7th now in the nation as far as producing swimmers at that level. So
Who's number
pretty-
one?
Oh man, I can't answer that for producing. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Be interesting.
Yeah, at that signing, Jam, the one at his club event, I know there was Purdue, Wyoming. There was a school out of Utah. I didn't recognize that school.
And DU.
NDU was there just that night. So pretty prestigious to get that award of a scholarship.
Very cool. Great job, Sam.
And it stays a job. And I'm just referring to, Erica, that was her job. It's money, she doesn't have to work, but she has to, make all the practices, do all the stuff. And I'm just again referring it back to here. It's the start of how they learn, or how we all learn what needs to be done.
Yeah, it's hard work.
It's hard work, Dave.
And
Yeah.
it's an amazing amount of time.
Amazing
You know,
amount
I
of time.
can't believe
yes.
the amount of time.
Yeah.
Speaking of competing and winning and having fun, we got our truck rodeo coming up, and we haven't had a lot of people sign up for this. So I don't know if people just haven't signed up or there's just not a lot of interest, but I can't imagine we're not going to have at least 20 people that want to do it. Right?
Yeah, I hope we haven't intimidated anyone.
Yeah.
I worry about that, because I glanced at the list like, geez, I wonder why there's not 50 people on here.
Exactly. So sign up for the first JFW Truck Rodeo. There's sign-up sheets at the front counter at the main office and also at Yard 23. The sign-up deadline, we might have to push this out, is Friday, February 10th. We encourage all employees to participate in the JFW Truck Rodeo. That includes drivers, mechanics in the wash bay, also office personnel. So Joanne, this is for you. There will be a first, second, and third place trophy and an overall best score trophy and a trophy for the best pre-trip score. That should be the biggest trophy.
All right.
Right. There's going to be a truck driving challenge course, a 25-question test and dump-related questions, a pre-trip test, and food and drink will be provided for all contestants. Please help make the first annual JFW Truck Rodeo a success, and we hope to see everyone there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Please, I know we talked about it last week and stuff, but please, you guys sign up. Let's go have a fun day, and
It's going to be a blast.
let's just enjoy being a family together.
I think that's the coolest part, rather than going to the Adams County Fairgrounds with the big truck rodeo. This is just us.
Yeah.
We can be our own way and, back up crooked if we
Have some laughs
feel
and
intimidated by it or anything.
Well, backing up crooked is really not going to work.
somebody's going to do it. That's the fun part,
it's all
right?
in
That's
good fun, yeah.
I would do it.
Yeah, that's that one when we were going to Bandamere years ago, and then they just did the truck show. They did have a rodeo that one time, and it was a timed event. And one of the drivers here at the time, Rod Allen, I believe was his name, he just looked at everybody doing it and all the time they were taking and, their scores and stuff like that. And he said he thought about it for a little bit. So he got in the truck and he ran over all the cones and parked it in 10 seconds. Well, they took the cones, his seconds off the
deduct,
cones,
yeah.
but he did it so fast he won the whole thing and hit all the
And
cones.
didn't
He's like,
care, he almost virtually didn't even try to worry about running over the cones. They're like, I'm mowing them over.
yep. but he was parked, and I'm like, well, that's just one way to do it, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
He's also the one that can spread an end dump.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the guys, Dave brings that up. We were on a job site one day. I think I've told that story before, but I had just started driving. I don't think 1 or 2 years I'd been driving, in a job site, and Rod was a really good driver and stuff, and we had road base on. I remember doing that and showed up on the job, and the superintendent come up to him and whatever and goes, hey, I'd like that spread, and it's a no to spread an end dump, so all of us know that. And the superintendent says, can you spread that? Rod's like, absolutely. So I do a great job.
How thick do you want it?
Yeah, how thick do you want it? The whole bit. And I'm just like, I'm looking at Rod going, man, we're not supposed to do that, wonder what he's doing. And the superintendent walked away, and Rod put the truck, PTO in and stuff, and ran it up, dumped it all in one pile and left. And I was like, Rod, he goes, we don't spread. I don't know what the guy was even thinking. I just have loved that all these years. Yep.
That's great. Joanne had a housekeeping item for everybody, so anyone that is missing tickets needs to come in and look for them. She's had 4 people yesterday, maybe more, and it does take time to find them. Then she's got to void the settlement, enter an invoice, then refinalize the settlement, and add it to the converter manually because she only pulls that once. I don't know what any of that means, but it sounds inconvenient. It
Sounds
like-
time-consuming,
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
it?
a pain in the butt to have to do something over again, right? We do have some repeat offenders as well. So let's be more responsible. It's your money and you should keep track of it. Guys, Joanne's always willing to help, but let's help ourselves here, right? This is our money and our paychecks and our paperwork, and we need to do a better job.
Yeah, I mean, all these years I've never understood how you lose a ticket because, I pull the ticket out and I put it in a clipboard and it's clipped to the clipboard, right? And you have to turn it in on that load or get it signed or, you know what I mean? There's always the next step and, we're
Right.
entering it into Paycom or Axon. That part always puzzles me, right?
Well-
Now a wrong ticket or, undersomething like that, I understand.
What about the part where they took it home, though?
Because it was in their coat pocket. And
Yeah.
They took their coat off. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part.
Right.
Or the dog ate it in the truck.
So I got to ask, has it been uploaded into Axon, but then we can't find the ticket? It wasn't turned into the box? Is that what's happening?
No, I think it's totally missing.
Just gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
To me, that's no excuse because you just need to take a picture with your phone. It takes literally 10 seconds
Yeah.
to upload it into the Axon app.
Yeah, I'd have to verify that, Dave. But there's just so much of this, of you got to do your job. I mean, Jam just mentioned it.
I just took your picture, Dave.
I would do it exactly.
how long
I
was
would
that?
do it the minute I got off the scale. I
Right.
wouldn't save them to the end of the
Right?
day.
Yeah.
I would do it while I was pulling off the scale.
I was going to say, I wouldn't
No, you
even
wouldn't.
stop. I would just.
Yeah, because
You might hit the scale if you do it while you're driving on
well,
the
yeah, I
scale.
can enter it in Axon with one hand, and I can do the tarp with the other as I'm pulling off the scale. Right?
I usually steer with my
steering
knees.
wheel with your knee.
That's right. Much easier now that they're automatics.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
put my
otherwise
belly
you'd be
against
shifting
it.
with your elbow, wouldn't you?
Well, you don't have to use your foot because you got urge to move.
Okay, that was all sarcasm, just
Yes.
so we're clear.
We were low roading it.
Yes. Yeah, gutter boy Weldon.
We was going fast.
That
though.
was. I'll go with Gutter Brothers right there. Dave.
Man, the other day, it was Saturday, we had picked up a bunch of those roundhouses for
Oh, nice. The trainer meeting.
For the trainer meeting,
Yeah.
right? And Super Dave was kind. He ordered 2 extra, and I figured I'd come in, I'd grab one, of course, right? And then I was like, oh, let me grab one for Ryan as well. But when I was talking to Super Dave about it, he was just like, Jam, you can't eat those while you're driving. I'm like, hell, I can. I'll drive an 18-speed and eat a roundhouse at the same time.
That's why they have a styrofoam lid, right? You just kind of pinch it together and hold it up and drink it right out of the corner.
Drain that fat
Yeah,
first.
no, they're paper now, and they did not hold up well, I'll tell you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, we had 2
Leaking
extra.
and smashed and
We had
everything
2
else.
extra people show up to the training, so me and Ryan were SOL.
Oh,
Well,
man.
I included you. You were in the order, but then Ryan and then a couple other
Couple of
people,
people
showed up. And,
So AKA Big Hungry was left with AKA Big Hungry?
I told him, I was like, hey, Big Hungry, like, I was going to bring you some food so you don't just eat me today. But I was like, hey, let's go to McDonald's on the way somewhere and I'll buy us some. He's like, no, I don't want that. He's like, I'm good. So, yeah.
Nice.
I ate my Kirkland mixed nuts and suffered.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Jim.
It's okay. But I
I
could.
think that's fasting, not suffering.
I was fasting, yes. Exactly.
Well, you were eating. That's not fasting. Fasting is no food.
I was not eating what I wanted, so
There you go.
It was a certain food fast.
I mean,
I was
okay.
fasting from roundhouses.
Nuts or a roundhouse? That's suffering.
That is suffering,
Right.
yeah.
Back to business. JR wanted to give a shout out. He's been doing a lot of work on Samsara, so he wanted to give a shout out to all who have gone out of town and made JFW look good while being on the road and at the customer sites delivering or picking up. At one point, 5 trucks that went out together were in a convoy that had great following distances from each other, all in the right lane. That just reminds me of coming back from Nebraska that one day, Jim, with those
The flatbed guys, the
Yeah.
building. I think they were all
Yeah,
buildings
they
or
were.
steel.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
just. They looked amazing, right?
Yep.
So anyway, he actually named some people: Alonzo and Veronica Areola, Gabriel Colmenero, Vic Ochoa, Jose Barraza, Steve Barnes, Anthony Harper, Gilbert Benny, Dustin Curria, Ish Coronado, Gene Freeman, Joe Graziosa, Rick Colleen, Troy Hunt, Troy Holmes, and Fred Powell. Then he says, apologies if I missed anybody. JR, trust me, you've missed somebody. And
Yeah,
we will-
we've been doing this too long,
Yeah.
huh, Jim? We've missed
Yep.
somebody.
Yeah,
We'll-
Murphy's Law.
We'll take the complaint call later, and then we'll add him in next week.
That's right.
Totally
Yeah,
fine.
congratulations, you guys. Though,
Yeah,
what a
absolutely.
group of people.
Yep.
Right there, rock stars,
Looking sharp.
some leaders. Yeah,
Rock stars. That's
Yeah.
right.
You know,
Jim.
and so many times in the past, you'll be out in the middle of nowhere, and you'll see 2 trucks, and they are just bumper to bumper, like almost like they're being towed. And there's no other vehicle around for miles, and you're that close, and there's just, it's unsafe following distance, just all of those items, and just how poorly that looks. And we've talked about it on the podcast. Years ago, right here on 270, we had 2 trucks rear end each other. They were that close together. So Yeah, unfortunate things happen, and how great to hear the success of that. You know, it just makes me feel so proud of seeing that. I can visualize that going down the road, you know, that, there's a big red truck, you know, and then you go 300 yards, another big red truck. Right? Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, very cool. Thanks,
Yeah,
everybody.
I mean,
so impressive to hear that.
That really rings a bell with me because if you don't know, I mentioned to Jim, we were coming back from Nebraska one day. I was with my wife. Jim had Holly in his truck, and man, we get into this convoy of trucks, and I looked at my wife. I was like, "Wow, these guys are doing a good job." You know what I mean? And she was like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, just they're following distance, they're spread out, they're all in the right lane." To me, it was almost like the trucks were programmed to be a certain
Right.
distance away from each
Right.
other, but it was like a 16th of a mile.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like every 16th of a mile, truck. They were all the
Yeah,
same.
it wasn't the minimum 4 seconds, right, Jam?
Or
it
the
was like
one-
16 seconds or something
or
like
the
that.
one Samsara second, right? It was just impressive. So when I see that, I could bet your ass there was somebody on that road that we were on that said, "Wow, those big, bright, shiny red trucks are doing a good job."
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, because that same story, Jam. I remember they'd go past somebody that was broke down on the road. Each one of them would signal and move over,
Right.
and get back over in the space, and they were letting cars pass them.
Yeah.
When we passed them,
Yeah.
there was enough distance that if you had somebody pushing you or whatever, you could slide in between them, slide back out when you got to the next guy. I mean, it was truly classy that day, and it sounds like that's what these guys did, and nobody realizes what that makes you look like. I mean, it's so, because it is so good and doing your job, it is phenomenal how it looks because nobody else does it.
Right.
Nobody else just does their job.
Yeah, it looks choreographed.
Yeah.
One truck moves over, goes around the car, then he moves back, the next truck is moving over, and
Right.
it's just
Yeah, you're not
boom, boom,
blocking
boom.
anybody. You're not holding anybody up.
It's like Top Gun.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's some Top Gun shit.
Yeah. Top Gun trucking.
So speaking of safety in our fleet safety score for January was a 92. That's the average. So pretty good there. The top 3 safety risk factors in January, and again, this is all from data that JR pulled. Thanks, JR. Number 1 was speeding. Majority was moderate speeding, 5 to 10 miles over the speed limit. There was 99 total events that would be considered collision risks. 96 of them were following too close events, meaning less than 1 second of following distance, and not recognizing it in time before the camera had an alert on the driver.
Wow.
And that is, we've talked about that, Jim. I'm thinking, the way people drive here in the state or whatever, that when they cut over in front of you, how many seconds does it give you to back off that?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. So plenty of time to back off
Yeah.
that. They're not picking up somebody just cutting you off and holding your space.
No, you have 30 seconds to give that car more than 1 second of following distance.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
a long time.
And we don't get an email alert when they get the audible warning, correct? I mean, don't they get an audible warning? And I'm making it up, and then it goes like 30 more seconds. So we're talking about a minute's time of
I
following
think-
too close before we get an alert?
No, I think if they get the following too close, we get the alert right away.
Gotcha.
I'd have to double check.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I have to double check, but the sad thing is we're talking about 1 second. How many seconds do we need at 55 miles an hour? 4 seconds. So,
And that's a minimum.
right.
Minimum.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So we could definitely do better in there. I've talked it about before. That's my pet peeve when it comes to safety is following too close. It's just rude. Like, to me, you just think you're better than the person in front of you if you're following too close. You don't care about them. You don't care about their family. You don't care about their loved ones. It just really bothers me.
We just had one this morning, Jam, coming to work on 270. Jim's doing, 60 in the slow lane, right? We're just going with slow lane traffic. And this guy pulls up. Well, Jim actually tells me, he's like, look at this guy as he's coming by. And these 2 cars, I think it was like a Jeep, a 4-door Jeep or something, right?
Van
in
or
the
something,
fast
yeah.
lane. And the car behind him was literally like 5 feet off of his bumper. They had to be doing at least 65 or 70 in the fast lane. So they're going past traffic, at a pretty fast pace to begin with, right? And the car that's following the Jeep, literally 5 feet off his bumper, just constantly flashing his brights, just winging his brights at this guy because he's still not going fast enough. And I'm like,
in a 55.
What
Yeah.
an idiot! Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was the reason I picked him up, Jim, is because they were far enough back to start with. Is he was offset. He was running on the inside line
To get the guy in the Jeep's attention,
to
right?
get him. So he was. You couldn't even see the car. He was so close and offset just to push the other guy.
and for what?
For what?
Like, how much further could he have gone down the road before he had to do that again?
Yeah.
we looked. He maybe could have got over after he passed me in a big truck.
He just got over behind another car doing 65.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Unbelievable. People are.
At 4:30 in the morning.
I told Jim, is that something? Is he just late to work? Right?
Probably
Is
not.
that person running late to work? And that's where we get into paradigms too. Did he get a call and his wife was in an accident and he's trying to get to the hospital? We've talked about that many times before, and maybe we're more educated in that. I guess if I were in that situation, I would have my four ways on.
right.
I may flash my brights, I may push someone, but I'm going to have my four ways on. Maybe that indicates something. It's not like that's a universal marker. It's an emergency, right?
Right.
But you're alerting someone something's up,
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
You know what I
hazard.
mean? Yeah. And
hazard. I'm a
that's
hazard.
still not a good excuse, but I'm just trying to put it out there and talk about it. I guess I don't know.
I don't like people like that behind me, so I would immediately put my blinker on and I'd move over and let them go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a lot of people would say, F you, buddy, and
Yeah.
I'm slowing down.
I just hit my
And-
brakes as hard as I can, Dave.
Exactly.
Again, sarcasm.
Jokes.
No, I'm with you, Dave. I get
So,
right out of their way. Like,
Yeah.
you go rear end someone else. I don't have
You
the time
go
today.
on your way, and if you are having an emergency, I hope you get through it okay.
Right.
Yeah,
But same way, Dave.
And this morning, though, I mean, because they were definitely going 65, right, Dave? But he had me, a truck, and I think there was another car. At 65, to me, like you said, you just you get out of their way and let them go on. The other car had every right to stay in that lane.
Because he was passing a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 65.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was going 45. There
Right.
was
He
no
wasn't
reason.
impeding traffic by any means.
Yeah, there was no
Right,
reason to
right.
be upset except
Yeah.
you couldn't run 75.
Yeah.
That's the part that's.
So you know what should have happened? The guy in a hurry should have just eased off of it for a second
Oh,
until that other guy got around the truck, and then maybe hit his lights or whatever and said, "Hey, man, I got to go."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't realize that he was passing.
Yeah, I never brake check them, but I will get off the throttle. You want to get rid of somebody tailgating you, just slow down a little. Don't hit your brakes. Slow down a little bit. They won't.
Yeah. And that gives them the opportunity to go right around you.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah.
And then when they try to pass me, I show them what that 6'4" Hemi will do.
While your nine's in your hand.
These are just jokes. I don't have a 9mm. I lost it in a boat accident.
They showed a guy, I was looking at a TikTok. He was on like a jet ski, Jim, and he had, I know it was his phone, but he had something else. They didn't show it. But the guy he dropped it off the jet ski while he had it on the jet ski. But the joke about it was he took his life vest off to dive and get the phone and whatever else he dropped, which they didn't show. And you're like, well, I know you can't dive without a life vest, with the life vest on, but it was like, you're really pretty well taking your chance because you just took your life vest off. So,
Yeah.
No doubt. So 3 were late responses, which were near collisions. First one was driving in thick fog on a county road going the speed limit, 55, but too fast for conditions. He nearly ran a stop sign in the intersection where other vehicles were present waiting to go. So that could have been pretty bad.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
yeah.
The second, the driver was messing around with the phone, distracting him from looking ahead and looking up just in time to hit the brakes as it was coming to a red light in traffic on Highway 85 in the left lane. That's another one that could have been bad. Third one as well was mobile usage, distracted from paying attention in traffic on I-70, resulting in late response and nearly running into a car stopped ahead of him if he hadn't looked up in time to hit the brakes. So that's another terrible one. This is why we have our our phone usage policy, and the FMCSA has their own. Like, you can't use your phone while driving a big truck.
Yeah.
Period, point blank. Right. Distracted driving, we had a total of 6 inattentive driving and 23 mobile usage events. Right. So that's the bad news.
Can-
Yes.
Yes. So, no, sorry to interrupt you, Jam. I mean, just before you get into the safe drivers,
Yep.
you know, it's negative news, but we just let a driver go yesterday
Yep.
solely because of his phone usage. And
Yep.
he was not only on the phone, he was FaceTiming.
Right.
mean-
Allegedly. we can't see what he was doing on the phone, but we do know he was using his phone.
Well, when you pick your phone up and you show the person that's on the other side what you're doing, and
Right.
you show them the back window and the dash of your
Right.
truck and all that, he was FaceTiming.
I agree. Allegedly.
Just my opinion.
I think that's the reason that word allegedly was used, Dave, is the
Right.
whole basis.
Trust me, I get it, but it needs to be driven home.
Yeah. Don't
know
use
what I
a
mean?
phone. You may not work here.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
But the thing is that's interesting about that situation too, and it just bothers me no matter what, is that driver also learned where to put the phone so the camera didn't pick it up.
Oh yeah. Hide it in your hoodie.
And
Right.
Yeah.
and it's
Put it on your speedometer. Like the whole thing is deceptive.
yes.
So mobile phone usage, and you're a liar. So
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, and you can't. You're not supposed to use it, but now you're trying to trick the camera that we have to help us
Right.
enforce it when we shouldn't need that to even enforce it.
To
Right.
protect you and us,
Oh yeah,
right? And everyone on the road.
And the
right? I mean, it's
150
just
family.
100% safety.
Yep.
So let's change the subject, Jam.
Yeah.
Get to the.
I guess that's the reason I was hesitant in putting that out there, but people need to know.
Yeah. I mean, we've always been transparent. You
Yeah.
know.
I mean, that was a 10-minute video we watched.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty horrific.
Yeah. Plus, yeah. All right. Moving on to
Bigger, better things.
Yeah, let's
that was the
move-
reason I wanted to get that out before we did the positive.
absolutely. Moving on to the top 10 Samsara safe drivers for January. Number 1, 0079 Potter had a safety score of 100. Tied for first place, 001 John Moore, 100. Third place, Rick Gray with a 99. Nice job, Rick. Edwin Ramirez, 99. Nat Bisignano, 99. Mike Bortz, 99.
Technically, would they all be tied for second, Jim?
They're all
Yes.
tied for
I mean, you got
second
two
place.
guys tied
Absolutely.
for first, and then those 4 people tied for second,
And then-
since they're all the same score, right?
Great point, Dave. And then we have 4 drivers tied for third. That's Troy Holmes, Dustin Courier, Greg Wise, and Chris Beam, all with 98s. So awesome job, guys.
Yeah, congratulations.
yeah, and I,
For the amount of miles that we drive, that's awesome.
That's impressive.
You know,
it is, and I think I'd have to kind of try to look at the math of this because that's a good group of guys, but we got 100 drivers. The other thing though is our average score is 92. Wasn't that on the on the
Average
page?
score is 92. And
So-
we're gonna go ahead, Jim.
No, just was that that's not far off this 98 for third.
Right.
Is a total score of 92. So that's pretty damn good. I want to pat on the back kind of thing.
Absolutely. And here's the good news. So in the green, so they're rated by colors. In the green, with the score of 90 or above, we have 84 drivers.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's
That
the
is.
that's the point there, Super Dave, of the miles we travel. We have that many people
doing a great
it right.
job, right? In the yellow, which is an 80 to an 89 score, we have 19 drivers. Okay, so those guys may have been in the red before and they're coming up, or maybe they were in the green and dropped down a little bit, but those 19 guys are super close to being in the green.
Nice.
And then in the red, which is less than or equal to a 79, we have 3 drivers. Well, actually,
2, because one of which we just let go.
yeah, this list was made yesterday, and since then we have 1 less driver in the red.
Yep.
And
so
if
he was in the red. That
he was
His score was a 44.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
yeah, and we got a couple other drivers I have to throw out there that's got that same barely higher than that, Dave. That we need to look at. And I was just gonna again on the math here though. So if we have the 19 guys in the yellow and we have 3 drivers in the red, which have changed, but we just when JR looked it up, you guys, right? What's causing those safety changes is speeding, collisions, and following too close.
Yep. Near collisions.
Near collisions.
Yes.
So really those are some pretty serious offenses
Yep.
driving the lower scores.
Yep.
Right.
Something we need to really work on. Yep.
Definitely need to speak to him.
Yeah.
Give him some coaching.
You know
Yeah.
what's great about that, and we've talked so many times about that our Samsara, the camera system, but it's just made us proactive.
Yep.
Right? We can gather this information and be like, hey, we need to coach this person up, and these are some incidents that we've had, and let's learn from it and move forward and help this person be a better driver and safer on the road. And that just thrills me to death, where in the past we were just stuck reactive. You know what I mean?
We couldn't help, Dave.
Yeah, we couldn't do anything. And
Paralyzed.
I hope anytime if anyone of our drivers, gets a call from, JR or Scooby or Pat or Kendrick or whoever it may be, right, that's working on some of this stuff, or Dustin even has been helping out with some of that. I hope you really look at the video. You log in because we send you that clip. You log in, you understand what's happening and go, oh, I need to make that change. Right. I would be a better, safer driver if that's the case. And, they always say, like, if you get hit, you hit back, right? I mean, that's kind of a natural defense mechanism. And I hope everyone doesn't take it like that they can learn to take it, this is something I need to be better at. And if I'm going to do this for the rest of my life or my career, I should probably be better at it. And they're helping me be better at it.
Yeah, you could look at it as a challenge.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you want to be better, though? You
right.
guys, right? That's the
right.
challenge, right, Super Dave?
Yeah.
And I guess, not that I would condone the speeding, but I would rather see those scores and all of it because of speeding, not near collisions and not following too close. Those are the two that scare me.
Yes, if you have space, I mean, of course we want to follow state law.
Yeah,
speed limits,
right? Yeah, absolutely.
But when you talk about like the Smith system, there's nothing in the Smith system that talks about your speed, because it's all about space.
Space, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because you are going to get in a group of, to be a little safer, you're going to go with the flow of traffic, right? And sometimes there's, it's 5 over or something like that. But there's always that safe space, with people getting on the highway, off the highway, all of that. You can,
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree with you, Jam. I feel like I could go 100 miles an hour as long as I have a space. But I'm not saying go 100 miles an hour.
And I know you guys are too, but it's so easy to see the cars that are up the other guy's butt, and they're going 80 miles an hour, and you're thinking, holy crap, that guy can't see but 10 feet in front of him.
Yeah, and you asked it earlier, Super Dave. Even if they got around that person at 80, usually there's no open road.
No,
they're not going anyplace else.
No.
Everybody is going 80. That's just about as fast as we could get there. Yeah.
Yep. I love the fact that this day and age, we have to be proactive like that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, everybody sits down and watches the 5 o'clock news and sees the lawyer commercials, Frank Azar and so forth. And we have to be, as our insurance guy says all the time, we have to be defendable.
Yes.
So we have to be proactive and coach and try to, improve our driving habits every day, because we drive, I don't know, I'm making this up, but we probably drive 50,000 miles a day, with the trucks.
Oh, as a fleet? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess that just leaks, as we go on the podcast here, Dave, and, we're trying to be defendable, and, the words you mentioned, we've been talking about this so much, and we repeat ourselves so much. And, you have to keep doing that. I was talking a little bit to Erica last night. She was talking about Facebook and YouTube and the podcast and stuff. Is we're so interconnected. Our social media has all connected us, but I feel, and she talked about it, like we're even more disconnected because you don't make that human touch. You know what I mean? And that one-on-one.
Instead of speaking to somebody, you just text them,
right? And here we are on the podcast.
Yeah,
another form of that. And I'll bring it up earlier, or maybe we can talk about it in here because I made some notes. But this was another form to reach our drivers and maybe the driving community that's not. What would the word? Invasive of their time. They don't have to be to that driver's meeting. They don't have to be there on time. They can listen to this at any point during the week. We've made it as simple and yet trying to make it as important as possible. So look at, like you said, we're trying to change, we're trying to grow, we're trying to contact and whatever else we can do to make our point.
I don't got time to listen to the podcast.
Oh shoot. Yeah.
That is tough when you're in the truck all day to hear, right, Jam?
Yeah.
You know what
Have
I
you
mean?
listened to the podcast? No, I just don't have the time.
Right?
What are you doing all day driving around? You got 10 and 12 hours
Busy
every day.
FaceTiming with their buddy.
Yeah, and I mean, all you guys have driven, and Jam, I know you're an avid podcast listener, but like my trips, if I go to Nebraska to the lake up there, I can listen to a podcast, or even during the day when you're listening to a song, it just makes the day fly by. I mean, I've listened to a good podcast, and 3 hours later, I'm in Nebraska or whatever.
Right? You're like, whoa, where did the road go?
How enjoyable was
Yeah.
that, or even, listening to it with Holly and chatting back and forth, or, it's just been,
I have a funny story about that. So we took a really long road trip a couple years ago up to Glacier National Park at the top of Montana. And so we get going, and Jackie says, hey, I got a couple of audiobooks I want to listen to. And I'm like, no way.
Right?
Because it was probably some chick book, And so she
Chick book.
she was like, come on.
A
come
romance
on.
novel, right?
Yes, exactly. And so I wish I could remember the title. I wish I'd wrote it down, because that's exactly what it sounded like. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to take like 18 hours to listen to. Anyway, I turned it on. I loved it. I
Right.
got so into it. We'd start driving the next day, and first thing I'd do is pop that audiobook in, and we'd turn it on and listen. So,
yeah.
yeah, I ended up loving it.
Dave,
Yeah.
I am so guilty, because Janet just loves that, right? When we travel, she's like, yo, you want to listen to music? I'm like, yeah, I want to listen to music, And she's like, can't we listen to it? She's always got some audiobook, right? It's
Yeah.
we have listened to a podcast before, though, and it was kind of funny. We actually went up to our cabin with Mom and Dad and Sam. So we had a carload of people, and we listened to it was a military one about a guy who, I think the name of the book was A Stay in the Hanoi Hilton, about Vietnam when he was captured in the in Vietnam, right? But anyway, those audiobooks, Dave, I'm like making too long of a story here about it. Just the other night, with all the cold weather, all the cars have been so dirty with the storm. I was like, Janet, do you want to run up and get a car wash? And she's like, yeah. And we get in her car, and obviously her phone is connected to the car. So the minute we get in, it's like logging on, and it immediately starts her audiobook that she listens to, because she listens to it back and forth to work.
The Bluetooth just kicked in.
Yeah, both directions, right? And we're driving out, and I'm like, can't we listen to music? And she's like, oh, this is just getting to the good part. And it must have been a romance novel, Dave, because I tell you what, my face was red, and I was getting a little blush. Sitting there in the car wash like, hey, what's going on? Yeah, they were getting jiggy with it.
So this morning I was looking through our podcast followers because I want to know who's following. But you could see the other podcasts that people listen to.
Oh, interesting.
And what do you think the most popular kind of podcast that people want to listen to?
Joe Rogan.
It's either going to be murder or romance.
True crime.
True crime. Murder. Yep.
Yep.
Allie loves the true crime.
Yeah. I mean, men, women, like I looked through like 15 people. Didn't matter. A lot of them listen to, I think it's called Snapped. And it's about women that just snap.
Yet
and kill their husbands.
I'm going to massacre the name, but Allie finally joined a group, and they're called the Murderinos.
You told me about that.
I think, and it's just, and she's gotten a sticker, and she's got it on a car, and we've been in different places, and people notice her sticker, and they have this like secret conversation about the podcast.
It's like a subculture.
Right, yeah.
And that's where we got the Silver Mics from. Is Allie, was she doing a podcast on the Murderinos? Or?
Yeah, I don't know if it was for that, but that's what they talked about. Yeah, absolutely. Her and her friend. That's where the mics originated from. Yeah, Jim.
Nice. Do they have any podcasts we could go back and listen to? I'd like to.
I think one,
to ask.
but I don't know if it's saved or how they did it. Yeah,
Ask her if she could send it.
Yeah, we'll have to.
That's cool. Well, Jim, you want to take over? The rest is your outline, buddy.
Well, I hope the rest of you guys jump in, or definitely.
Yeah, I'll participate.
Dave and Super Dave here, but I mentioned it earlier, you guys and gals, that we've been going over the same things over and over and over, and how we make the impact, and kind of comes down to like the podcast. How do we make the podcast interesting? How do we change things up? And I was able to go back and pull my notes, because I do save Super Dave's High Road Holland, and I had my notes, and I can go clear back to 2015 and pull notes out on what we've been talking about. And I found this one that me and Dave hand wrote, and it was from November 21st, 2018. It said, hey guys, last week and this week, this is what happened. We blew up a motor by over-revving the engine. We tipped a trailer over. We got a huge overweight ticket at the portables. And what do we do about that? And again, I started out in 2018 because it's the same things we talk about over and over again. And this is what Dave and I answered back is, you know what we do? We do not give up. We believe in you guys and gals. We will never stop believing in all of you. We believe in what we do, and it can be done well. And we've been preaching that story for a long time. That was a snippet from 2018. And we address the trailer. That was a mistake. We talk about it with the new guys that we hire. It was I believe it was a sleeper truck. It was clear out east. It was a long trailer, and the driver just never looked. He just sent it up, and it just tipped over. And Brother Dave, correct me, it was like 3 stages at the most,
tops,
and it tipped over.
And it was winter time.
This time of year.
Yep, it was wintertime. But I think Omar, a different Omar, was one of the guys.
Ivan went out there.
Ivan went out there. Dave loaded up, and they went out and loaded it up, fought through the snow, got it all. But Brother Dave was.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of another one, Jim. Yeah, sorry, keep going.
But you loaded up and you supported the team, and that's what we do. And it was a mistake, but it's still a mistake. And I know Dave's got a lot to talk about that on the mistake here. And then, the overweight, I wanted to mention the overweight is the driver actually got a big ticket. He was over 1,000 pounds overweight, but then we found out it was a mistake from the portable scales, and he really wasn't overweight. All he had to do is call in and go, hey, I got a situation here. They say I'm overweight. I checked my weights. I don't believe so. Can I get some help? And instead, the driver got mad, took the ticket, and left.
Right.
And he wasn't even overweight.
Right.
And so, there's the other point. Call your safety people. Call the office. Call dispatch. Use the radio, because everybody can hear where the scales are. Somebody might have an idea. Hey, I was just at that scales. Yeah, they're adding it up wrong, or whatever.
Yeah, I remember, because there was another driver that came right behind him. Same thing. Was it the ones coming out of Fairplay?
Exactly.
Yep.
Stopped over on the state shed on 285, right? So the one guy took the ticket and went left.
Just left.
and
Yeah, was mad. Yeah.
Complained about it. And the other guy called us. You, Brother Dave, sent me down there, and then we got those guys to break out their hand scales. And
Yeah.
it was a big ordeal. They were like, no, we're not going to reweigh him because he's got to drive around, and we don't trust him to be out of sight. He could throw material off. Okay, we can't back up. No, it's too dangerous. Brother Dave's like, well, let's call the supervisor. We got the supervisor. And what did he tell you? Those guys have hand scales. They could
Absolutely, break out those hand
break
scales.
out the hand scales. And, man, they broke him out, and they reweighed him, and he was over 85,000. So the guy's like, see, over 85,000. I'm like, yeah, we're on secondaries. That's legal, And
Because he has an overweight permit. Yeah.
yeah, and
That's you're exactly right, Jim. That's the whole thing. But here we are preaching about the same thing again, and I guess that's where I'm trying to make this interesting. I'm trying to go back. I'm trying to, wake us up, bring it to everybody in a new format. Because how many times can you talk about the same thing?
sometimes you got to hear things over and over again.
Right, exactly. And I just touched on the engine. The engine, I remember that we blew that up, and we were like, oh no, with the computers, you can't blow that engine up. It won't over rev. It won't do anything. And we found out the person, because we looked in the computer then, they were just leaving it in gear and letting the truck over rev. The computer had no way to shut the truck down. They were just maxed out at like 2,300 RPMs in one gear. And that's how they thought it was okay to drive the truck. and blew the engine up.
2,700 RPM.
Yeah, there was several occurrences, and that's that's their mistake for not knowing their equipment, and our mistake for not training better. And that's the reason for the orientation. That's the reason for being with your trainer. Those are all the things we've done to try to make ourselves better. And again, it's a fight, but I guess one of my points here too is we've not given up. We just didn't go, oh, that's the way it is. We've tried to come up with so many programs to make us better. And I'll just read this when I talk about, we talk about the same things because I dated them right quick. So September of 2016, fuel spills, hitting the scale at Morton and Fry's, and tearing off mud flaps. Have we ever talked about that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
How about August 16th of 2017, checking tires, speeds in the pits, and overweights?
I've heard that stuff before.
Right? You recognize that, right, Jam? So I did July of 2017. And it's kind of funny. All I had in there in the note was post-trip, Dave White going over this.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right? You can imagine that conversation in one of the drivers'
I bet it
meetings.
lasted the whole safety meeting.
Right? So here's one, November of 2017. And again, do we ever talk about this? So contaminated loads to Metromix. JFW had to reimburse Metromix $1,300 for just the material we lost, and that didn't include the haul charge that we obviously we couldn't charge for the haul time the first time, hauled it back down there again, the clean material, and we paid, I believe it was the note we had, we took it upon ourselves, we paid the drivers. And I don't know what the circumstances was, but we paid them for the bad loads, even though we lost the loads. And so there again, we're trying to do it better, make it different. And this is something I wanted to bring up. I had a note in there from January 3rd, starting into 2018. So in 2018, over 600 deaths in 2017, because we just gotten into 2018.
Just to be clear, highway deaths.
Yes, highway deaths, Colorado highway deaths.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave, if I'm not clear there. And so I looked up, and I seen it just the other day because they published it. So for 2022, you guys, last year, we broke a record 745 deaths out on the Colorado highways. That's a 59% increase in the last 10 years. And it's the highest we've ever had since 1981. Right there, why do we preach to you guys following distances, speeds, all that kind of stuff? Because we don't want to be one of those statistics.
Yeah, that's 745 funerals. That's 745 families ripped apart. When you start thinking about all the hurt and the pain and the suffering because of that, it's just silly to die in a piece of metal on asphalt.
Yeah, that's 1,500. I mean, when you put it in perspective like that, Jim, that's just shy of 1,500 parents that have either lost a sibling, a child, a mother, a father, something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Wow. When you put it into that perspective, that many funerals, I didn't even look at it like that. You just hear deaths and you don't think of that.
Right? Yeah, and I kind of quickly looked at it. So we're just over whatever the math would break it down to, a person and a half a day, whatever, right. Divided into 365. But every day, no matter what, we got somebody dying on the road.
Yep.
What a ridiculous stat. It bothers me.
And almost every one of those is attributed to negligence.
Oh,
I'm sure. I know there's some innocent people that get hit by a tire flying over a median or something like that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
The vast majority of that number is negligence.
Yep.
Whether it's speed or drinking or, whatever.
Yeah. I had an incident this weekend with Allie, my middle daughter, and she had a pretty bad accident, and I'll probably talk about it in another podcast. But the circumstances of the crash was all due with speed of another person, and in the circumstances how she reacted and the other person reacted, and it is just due with negligence, Dave. Just like you're saying, we can't drive people can't drive fast enough is the thing.
Isn't that the truth, Jim?
It just can't drive
Just
fast enough.
Crazy anymore.
Yeah. So quickly, you guys, you jump into January of 18 again. Clean behind drip trays on the trailers, rocks falling off and hitting cars. We just had one a couple weeks ago, did we not, Jam, where it wasn't cleaned out behind the drip tray?
Oh, there was a trailer in the shop yesterday that had a bunch of sand behind the drip tray.
So we've been preaching on that since 2018.
4 years now.
I brought this one up because this one was January again of 18, because we're going to head into that time of year along with the snow. Tow hooks and pins. Does everybody have a tow hook? Does everybody have a pin to fasten it in? In the next 60 days, we'll start into our muddiest time of the year, because we'll be freezing in the morning. We'll be thawing in the afternoon. So you might drive in and drive out in the morning, get stuck in the afternoon, and then, just past the 60 days, we'll start into our spring, our rainy time. So are you prepared? Do you have tow hooks, and do you have pins? And we've had, new guys. We're trading trucks around. We got new guys going into trucks. We're adding the Pete's. Have you checked your trucks?
And that is on the DVIR that you should be checking,
Right?
right?
Right.
Along with your FHWA annual stickers on the frames. It's something you should look at every day.
Every day.
All part of your post-trip or
Yep.
pre-trip, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim, I know I look like I've been texting on my phone, but I was searching something here, and I looked up.
Are you driving?
Of all
No
the-
texting and podcasting, Dave.
I've been FaceTiming with the wife. So no, telling her I enjoyed that book when we were at the car wash. But anyway,
You have a glow about you in the suds.
right? Am I smiling, or is it just my face?
Looked like you had a good morning.
No, back to your speeding information there, Jim. How many fatalities were there?
745.
Yeah, 745.
So 287 of those were speed related.
Wow.
I would have figured more.
Yeah.
I really would have.
Well, I asked for speed and distracted driving because all the phone use
Yeah.
is distracted driving. And
Yeah.
I tell you what, you pull up to an intersection, if you can see 4 cars around you, I feel like 3 of 4 of them are on their phone,
Oh, yeah.
just sitting at an intersection. Now,
Yeah.
granted, they're not driving, but they're distracted, right? When that light turns green, they're not focused on it. They're not going.
Next time I'm at a light, I'll have to put my phone down and look at that. Just kidding.
Oh,
But you,
jam joke.
you said 240
87. 287.
was speed related.
Yes.
All 745 were space related. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If you're going too fast, you don't have space.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, if
Or you're following distance. Literally, I guess because it's just so fresh in my mind, Jam, is Allie's accident. She was I-25 northbound in the fast lane, was going to get over to the middle lane, had her turn signal on, she believed she was a little bit into the other person's lane, but that car was going so fast past her that she was like, holy shit, I didn't see it, I missed it, corrected back in her lane quickly, and the person lost control after passing Allie, spun out and ended up in the fast lane, and Allie hit her head on. But that's how fast the person was going, allegedly going, that
Right.
passed Allie. But you know as well as I do, you don't pass somebody, if you're not going fast, you don't end up in front of them.
right.
I mean, it just doesn't happen. So that's the alleged point. But there again, their speed, and I've had it where I started over to change lanes. And you're like, where the hell did that person come from? But they're just hauling ass, just going as fast as they can go. So, so again, nobody had any space at that point because of the speed, Jam. That's what I'm trying to get at.
yeah.
It just further down in that article, you guys, it just says CDOT and agency partners plead with drivers to slow down. So there's the speed.
Yep.
Buckle up, right? Luckily our cameras pick that up now because we've had how many tickets at the port of entry not wearing a seatbelt. So thank goodness our cameras pick that up now.
Right.
And then the next one is and stay off their phones. So there's 3 things: speed,
Space,
seatbelt,
distracted driving.
Distracted driving.
Speed, seatbelt, yeah.
Yeah,
But Jam, speed
Right.
creates the distance that you're
Right.
talking.
Yeah.
Those two just coincide. I mean, you say distance,
Right.
that's speed related. You
Yeah.
say speed, that's distance related, right? I
Absolutely.
mean, no matter what.
Super Dave and I in the interviews used to say the 4 most common causes of truck crashes are speed, space, distracted driving, and fatigue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you. And just like you said, speed takes away that space.
Yep.
But when you're distracted, you're losing that space
Oh,
also.
yeah. You don't know how you could have a football field and no space. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's a freedom issue, which is like near and dear to Americans' hearts. But would it be a good idea to, and I bet you almost every automobile can turn off a cell phone when you put it in drive or drive over, I don't know, 20 miles an hour. But boy, oh boy, would that be a rat's nest if we,
Yeah, you
try to
could.
put
there-
that into
Your
place.
freedom. Sorry,
It's,
Jam.
it's freedom, yeah.
Yeah, there's apps. You could download apps that'll do that for you, but that was your choice, right?
Yeah.
Right. This would not be a choice. This would be like
Yeah,
mandatory.
I mean, I could see the government forcing that down people's throats, like they do other things. So,
Yeah.
could be in the future.
Yep.
What else you got, Jim?
Yeah, just to pick it back up. So, still in 2018, we talked about tailgate latches and the seals. We've been fortunate enough in the last few years to have really newer trailers and equipment, so the seals aren't quite as a big a deal. But that's the reason we try to tell you guys in the winter to get your, open your tailgates and leave them open, so we're not tearing seals out. The tailgate latches, the trailers were getting old enough that the latches weren't latching tight enough, and so that didn't hold the tailgate closed. That can still happen right now, but most everybody has newer trailers, so it shouldn't be an issue. But, we're trying to buy new equipment to eliminate this stuff because we don't have people that can monitor it, and do their jobs. So we were talking about it then. Then we had, we did a liner demo and cleaning underneath the liner. And what's that mean? And again, we have, new enough equipment that we don't have holes. We've got better Z stripping. But I bet if I ask, I'd love to do this, ask 3 or 4 of the new guys, did they clean their liner and how do you do it? But we don't even get that.
Nobody's getting underneath it.
No, nobody's getting underneath it. So, and the minute, the whole thing about that is what usually happens just quickly is if you leave any material or something would fall out of the tarp or the Z strips or anything like that once you're empty, or maybe some sand in the front. When you're empty, that pushes that material to the back, and then the wind hits the gate and tucks it underneath the liner. And we've also learned those other trailers, we left the liner off the back of the tailgate just a little bit. We don't do that anymore. We try to put the liner right even with the tailgate.
Gotcha.
So to try to stop that.
And I made a big blanket statement. I said nobody's getting underneath. There's people getting underneath, but some people don't even know
Right.
to get underneath.
Well, we had, person that pops in my mind, not that we don't have somebody currently, Jam, but Ed Ritter. He retired with us, and he was a go-getter. But Ed, his favorite saying was Mr. Wallet's talking to me. I'd say, hey, Ed, would you go get that load? Oh, yeah. I said, I don't want to, but Mr. Wallet told me I needed to. And he'd go get that load. And he did a lot of golf loads. And he was one of the few guys that got a brand new trailer and made his liner last 5 years, Jam.
Wow.
It literally wore out, no holes. But that guy was religious about cleaning the liner out. And I'm like, what's up with that, Ed? And there's 2 things. So if he wasn't cleaned out, he couldn't take any golf load, right? And he loved his golf loads. And he said the other thing, he said, if my liner's tore up, I can't do golf loads again, but I'm going to be broke down at some point while you guys change my liner. I like my trailer, and I like my liner, and I don't want to be messed with.
Nice.
And he just knocked the loads out. But he was looking at his future, and he had a system. And that few minutes he took every day cleaning was nothing compared to shoveling or fighting getting the rocks out from under it. It just, what it leads to in your future is so much time saving.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A liner with holes in it is pain.
They suck. They suck. And we have a welder to fix that now, just as a point. If you see a hole or any little crack or anything in the liner you have now, please write it up. Please say something, because we have a special welder that will re-weld the liners now, but we have to catch it before it's a giant hole.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do we catch it?
lots of ways, Dave. I mean, I don't.
You have to be in there looking,
Gotta
number
be
one.
in there,
right?
Yeah. I mean,
You
if
can't
that's
just aimlessly sweep over a hole and go, huh, that's a hole.
yeah.
But I'll tell you
And sweep
too,
it out.
It's like that when I got it.
that rock that gets lodged up underneath that liner that stays there, and you can't get it out because it's 10 feet up in the liner. It will make a small hole within 2 weeks.
Yeah, from the bottom up.
right,
It
right.
creates an hourglass going of the material going around
Correct.
it.
That little hole will be a big hole probably within a month.
Right,
You
right.
know.
You guys, I was going to try to talk about the physics because it always blows me away, just like both of you were talking about. You got that little pinhole or that little raise, and it raises that bump, and hundreds of tons of sand washing across that makes that hourglass, and makes that high spot so thin so fast. It's just it's really cool stuff, but it sucks when it happens.
It's
Think how
expensive.
coarse that 3/4 crushed rock is.
Yeah.
And how that's gouging.
Yeah, 'cause
along
it's a
as
high
it
spot.
Falls
Yeah.
out,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Flows out of the trailer.
Absolutely. So, and then the other thing, we talk about it all the time. We've had it come up. 3-point stance, getting in and out of the truck. That was July of 2018. 2018, we just had a ticket, but we were hauling out of Fairplay. Speed in Bailey coming down from Fairplay, and after my note on there, I had WTF. Like, why can't we go through Bailey in the correct speed?
Right.
And I don't think it was Bailey, but we just got a ticket up there, a speeding ticket recently. And I found this one funny, which Super Dave, when you talk, you kind of were getting at, I thought, our new technology and advances and what all we're doing and how cool the equipment is and things like that is Jake brake noise. They are illegal in Golden in 2018, September 12th, 2018. I know for a fact we had some of the older trucks that had loud Jakes, and you couldn't run them in Golden. There was a noise ordinance in Golden, and we were getting ticket after ticket after ticket. The new truck.
In the canyon as
Yeah.
we were coming down.
Right into Golden, right, Dave? Right? We don't
Down
even
to the light.
We don't even deal with that anymore.
No.
Because our
Isn't
trucks
it
are
nice?
so quiet. They're so advanced. The Jakes work kick ass in them, and no noise. We've eliminated that. But how many people know about that? How many people appreciate that advancement?
It's funny because
You have to be an old guy to know about that. Yeah.
yesterday I took Scooby and JR to Kenworth, right? And on our way there, we're at the railroad tracks or something over there. Out comes this tow truck from MHC, and it's just, just making all the noise in the world. And Scooby says, "Man, that will get real annoying real quick." It's like, I'm like, "Scooby, that's what you drove for most of your life." He's like, "Yeah, I'm spoiled now."
No doubt.
Just hearing that come from
8-inch straight
Scooby.
stacks,
Right.
right?
You look at Scooby and be like, yeah, that guy wants an 18 or a 21 speed or a 50 speed with Jakes and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know where that, I guess you could talk about age, Jam, but I can tell the story where I had that, that 350 Cummins and hauled over here to Claylight, and I got a call in and rattling the
liquor store?
the liquor store, the jars off. But I thought it was cool as hell,
Right.
Today, oh my God, that would piss me off,
right.
Jam. I
Give you a
could
headache and a heartbeat,
I couldn't
wouldn't it?
take the noise. I couldn't take. I couldn't take being that intrusive to somebody else.
I could just picture you going to the liquor store and be like, "Oh, I heard I broke some bottles. I'd like to pay for those."
Yeah, but the funny thing, and I know I told that story, they ended up calling my mom, right? So, hey, I got my mom called on me.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then,
that may be a saying, loud pipes save lives, right? I mean, isn't that the saying? Loud
Yeah.
pipes save
Yeah.
lives.
For bikes.
But man, quiet vehicles are sure peaceful, right?
Yeah.
They sure are.
And that's the one thing. We live in the world today, like, we need trucks, right? And we're at the forefront of just being the demise of the world. And what I mean by that is, they pollute, the tires are bad, we're hard on the roads, no one wants to see us. So, I mean, we need to do everything in our power to be seen and not heard. And when we are seen, that, the whole first part of this podcast was about how we are seen,
How we
right?
look.
Are we spaced out? Are we safe? Are we, whatever the scenario may be, right? We need to look good. We've done everything in our powers with the newer equipment to be quieter, to be safer, to, all of these other elements, right? So that's something to think of or add to that, right? So.
Yep.
Absolutely. Same story though. From as far as my notes go back since 2015,
Right,
Dave? We
Yeah.
talked about it, and then the last one is I jumped up to June of 2019, and we just had this yesterday. But speed on I-70 coming down the hill. We never talk about that, right, guys?
Never.
We've never had problems with that. We never talk about that. There's flashing lights, there's speed limit signs, there's truck warnings, there's all this stuff, and we end up going down the hill at, I don't know, like 60 miles an hour yesterday was the last I heard. I don't know what we've done about that yet.
I think I saw it like a 62 or a 64, Jim.
Yeah.
In a 35.
Yeah, and I just
35 mile an hour.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's not a small
reckless.
zone,
That's reckless.
long zone.
Yeah, long
zone. Yeah.
trucking zone. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That's-
reckless, Jam, and you're just like, how does that make us look?
Not good.
How many signs did we pass?
Yeah, just
How many, there are 3x5 signs, there's 4x8 signs, there's 5x10. Some of them have flashing lights.
Yeah, but where does
some
the
of them
speed
have
limit
words.
start?
Some of them just have pictures, right? It's just a picture of a hill and a truck. What does that mean, right? I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I regret even saying this. I don't even want to say it. I'm like struggling to say it, but that's where everyone picks up the term dumb truck driver.
Right.
Right? I mean, and it's forced upon us, it's given to us. But these are the situations that create that. We're driving past sign after sign after sign after notification after flashing lights. It's like someone's clubbing us over the head. This is a 35 mile an hour zone, but I'm going to do 65.
Right.
Right?
I mean, you got.
I hate saying those words. Jim, you and I have fought saying those words. I mean, that's almost worse than saying some other foul language. You know what I mean? I have no problem dropping the F-bomb, but there are some words that I will not use, that denote race or something like that, and I refuse to use them. And saying dumb truck driver rates right up there with those words for me, because it's something against everything I value.
But Jam, just ask you jokingly with you, and I know you were talking.
Yeah,
Is
where does the speed zone start? guys?
where does the speed zone
Yes,
start?
and
At the sign, right?
at the speed limit sign. Yeah.
Right, and that's what Dave's saying. So if you don't know where the speed limit starts, how dumb are you? That's the offensive statement.
Yeah.
I don't know where it starts. How about where the 5x10 yellow caution flashing light sign is illuminated?
Yeah, or even
Right.
at the white and black sign that has a speed limit on it.
Yeah.
And we joke about it like we're making fun of it, but when we used to make the calls, and I'm sure JR still goes through it, like, hey, you got to watch your speed coming down the hill. It's a 45 mile an hour hill coming down Floyd, right? Well, where does that start? It's like at the speed limit sign.
What's
We
yeah,
did
go
the
ahead.
culture meeting the other day, and we asked the kid, "Do you know where that starts?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's a flashing yellow."
Yeah, we love
I
that
wanted to
answer.
hug that guy.
Right?
I wanted to like jump up instantly with a big smile and just give him a hug. Like, I love you, man. I love you. My worry is, Jam, when we have those people that avoid all of those signs, what are they doing when they hit the 35 mile an hour curve and they're loaded at 85 or worse yet, 90,000 pounds coming out of Fairplay and we're coming down 285 and we get to a, one of those 40 mile an hour curves or a 45 mile an hour curve and they're hauling heavy and going too fast and ignoring we're going to pick that guy up. He's going to crash. He's going to be rolled over. That trailer's going to be laid over. They're going to be in an accident. And here we are picking up the pieces.
Yep.
Well, you just kind of coined it, Dave. When all that happens, what's that for us?
Could be the end.
Here's our sign,
Oh, that's almost a pathetic dad joke.
right? Here's your sign. We just read all the signs. Here's our sign.
Yeah.
What do we do about that?
Right?
That's not a person that we need here because they're endangering the rest of our family.
Yep.
I do want to bring up, too, just because JR brought it to my attention before the podcast, because we were talking about that and those speed zones. Keep in mind, everyone, those speed zones are whether you're loaded or empty.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
We're having a handful of drivers think it does not apply to them when they're empty because they might be near that 26,000 pound gross vehicle weight.
Yep. Some of
Well,
them are
keep in
under.
mind that's a gross vehicle weight rating. If you're over 26,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating, we don't own a vehicle that's not over 26. Well, some pickups, but all of our big trucks that
Yeah,
people are here driving. If you drive a vehicle that starts with 00, you need to be doing the speed limit, whether you're loaded or empty, through those zones. Loaded or empty.
Yep.
Cannot emphasize it enough.
And we've broke the times down in other safety meetings. If you take it at like 35 miles an hour and you take it at 55 mile an hour, it's literally like 1 minute or
Yeah.
a minute 20 seconds. And you're just like, what does that matter in any day?
Right.
Any day.
Sure.
On the sign, it says GVWR.
Right? Right?
Gross
Super Dave,
vehicle
yeah.
Weight rating.
But again, where does that weight rating start?
At the sign. So I was going to speak up a little bit ago, but I've got to now because that is what they call disregard for the law. So where does that go? I mean, that the driver's going to go 20 miles an hour over the speed limit in a 80,000 pound truck. Does that mean that he or she is going to, steal something because they want it, even though they know it's against the law, or, something like that? Like, I don't care if it's against the law. I want it, or I'm going to do it. So where do you draw the line?
Super Dave, I've been fighting to make this comment because I thought we had a pretty good meeting the other day when we met with one of our teammates, and the statement really bothered me, and that's what you're bringing up right now, is they said, I'm safe, but I push the envelope. I'm always pushing. And to me, the envelope, Dave, is disobeying the law.
Right.
Going faster than the sign. He's doing it safe, probably because he's got every sense he has turned up and watching the distance and watching the speed and is on the edge of his seat. I'm not saying it's not done safe, but I push the envelope. Why? Why? What do we have to gain by that?
Yep. And you know what happens? It's just like a drug overdose. You don't know it until you've broken it, and then you OD it, right?
Yeah.
You're pushing. You want to get a buzz or whatever, but you're pushing. Guess what? Then you cross the line, and you're dead.
Yeah.
Soup, I don't think that people that, let's say the guy's bombing down the hill and he has total disregard for that law, I don't think that makes him more likely to break other laws like murder or stealing or stuff like you said. I really feel like when people get into a motorized vehicle, it does something to their brain.
I agree.
Like the road ragers.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to road rage, but I guarantee if you saw me in the supermarket, you would act differently.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or, the keyboards. Like, I feel like when people get into this vehicle, it's like a bubble, and it changes them.
We talk about it all the time, Jim.
I agree.
You portray yourself in your vehicle way different than you would if you were standing on an elevator.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Or
Yeah, it's not face to face. You wouldn't cut in front of somebody standing in the line at King Supers, but you'll just cut them off like nobody's business in traffic.
Or I can't tell you, like pushing a cart through the Walmart aisles and you come around a corner and somebody else is coming and like you got to stop and like you pull your cart back. Imagine that person just flipped you off there.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
But they'll do it in their cars like, hey, man, like we were both trying to do the
Yeah.
same thing. Calm down.
I know
That's
Jim
funny.
goes off on the cart parking all the time, and we had a little meme go back and forth.
Did you watch any of the videos or are you too busy?
I did, yeah. Sorry, I called it a meme, but yeah.
Those
yeah.
people are upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, cart narcs is a thing. You
Yeah.
got to watch it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it is kind of funny, but there could be some cart rules in a store that could be applied to some people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Those cart rules or those kind of rules, it's that people don't have spatial awareness.
Oh, they're
that is
clueless.
the whole right in the middle of the aisle. Just
know,
stop
yeah.
and then that's when I joke the other way. I'm like, do you drive like that?
Yeah. Right.
Because or you didn't see me or feel me or feel because something's behind me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You oh, I heard this guy's cart. Where did he go? I want to look.
Right.
Or am I blocking the aisle? I just
What color shirt was he wearing?
What I always want to find out
what are
is
your
how
colors,
long
Jam?
will it
They're
take
yellow,
them to
they're-
realize I'm waiting for them to move out of the way?
yes.
So I can
yes,
get
it's,
past?
It's spatial awareness.
Condition
One
white.
1,000, two
Yeah.
1,000, three 1,000. Hey,
what count do you give them before you go? Excuse me.
Yeah,
Right?
I roll right up there. Excuse me.
you just barrel right through.
Yeah. Excuse your cart. You left it in the way.
They're really upset when you just go move it for them.
Right.
Yeah. Take some of their food.
Put some extra
Items in
cans
the
of soup in their car.
Yeah.
Condoms.
Yep.
I mean, whatever.
Prophylactics.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Was that your last point on that?
I
Come
think that
down
was the speeding jam. Yeah.
That was good, Jim.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you putting that together.
Sure.
I got to say, that is spot on because we have to repeat. I mean, it's the same things, you know, tire pressures, turning too sharp, overloading. I mean, and I guess these are common mistakes that we just have to keep visiting over and over.
Yeah, that's my exact point, Dave. We're we have this podcast, but how do we keep it interesting? How do we not talk about the same things? And it's impossible. We no matter what we do, go back through our history, we're going to talk about the same things. And I just encourage you to listen and try to pass that on. So our goal here is not to talk about this stuff or have to deal with it, I guess. But it's, I mentioned in our safety meeting the other day, or our leadership meeting, when we were talking about the driver's manual, I said to everybody, if we're not doing this or they're not getting the point, us as leaders are not doing a good job. And I know, Jam, you're like, I don't think we're not doing a good job. We're not, we got interrupted. We never finished that thought. And it wasn't that we're doing a bad job, but we're just not doing a good job, Jam. We haven't reached them. And I don't know good as in a merit badge. A good is, are we making a difference?
I think where JFW as a whole is super impactful to the people that work here. And I think the leadership team does a really good job being impactful and getting points across. I just feel there's always going to be a group that isn't engaged. So how do we get through to those people?
Yeah.
How do we turn those people around? And that's a tricky part because we got 84 people or whatever that number was that JR threw out. 84, what was it? I don't have it in front of me anymore.
Yeah,
84 people that were 90 and above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, we're doing a great job because some of those people weren't always 90 and above.
No,
They may have been a 70 when before they came to JFW,
Right.
and we've raised their bar. So
Yes, and that's the killer question, because when you were saying that, Jam, that I was going to say is, are those people a weed, or can they be educated
Right.
and become part of the team and make themselves better? I always just believe, and I know you guys all believe that, is everybody can be better.
Yeah.
And we give people lots of chances to prove that here.
can't be better if you don't want to be better, though.
Yeah.
If it ain't in your heart, it ain't in your heart. You just-
Yeah, I just didn't want to interrupt you guys, but I mean, this is a double-edged sword that we're talking about, that we're clubbing every person over the head with. And what I mean is, we're clubbing the same people over the head that are doing an amazing job,
Right.
that we're clubbing over the head saying, this needs to be done better.
Right.
Right? We're telling the guy that's worked here 10 years, that's never contaminated a load, you need to clean out your trailer. I feel sorry for them because they've heard it for 10 years. They can't understand. It's not that they can't understand. Of course they understand.
Because they do their job.
Right? But they're like, oh, God, the brothers are talking about speeding again. Oh, God, the brothers are talking about dumping again. Oh,
Yeah.
God, the brothers, you know what I mean? And they're like, why do I need to hear this? Click and turn it off, right? And then you have the people on the other hand that need to hear it,
Right.
that may not even be listening.
I
Right?
mean,
That's
Right.
That's where I'm at right now, is because we don't have 100% listenership from our staff or our JFW family, right? So are the people that need it getting the information that we're clubbing with one swipe over everyone's head?
no.
Yeah.
No, but they don't want the information. You know what I mean? And we don't make the podcast mandatory, and there's no way for us to do that. But I feel like we can make a pretty good prejudgment on somebody if they've been here for 6 months and we ask them, do you listen to the podcast? And they say no. Why wouldn't you?
You're fired.
Yeah. Like, my question is, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you listen to the company podcast? And I don't care.
Because I don't have time.
You don't have time, right? I don't care. I mean, I joke about the
Well, I have this
listens and
list
the
of books from
followers.
Janet White.
I want to hear that book, right? Yeah, we joke about, or I make a big deal. How many followers did we have? How many listens did we have, right? But really, if you work here and you're not listening to the podcast, you are not engaged with the JFW culture.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
there's no way you don't have time in a week span in your truck to hit play on the Challenge 23 podcast
And I have to throw out for drivers, Jim.
for drivers.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you'll walk through the building and you'll hear the music.
I agree.
Yeah,
They
every-
listen up
yeah.
here, they listen downstairs.
They listen in the shop.
You know,
I
so-
agree. Could be tough for the wash bay. You know, maybe they're doing other things at home or whatever.
Yes.
They could play it while they're washing, but you can't hear, right? I mean, there's...
Yeah, Ricky DeLeon, he listens while he's working.
Yeah.
He's an avid listener.
Yeah.
So to me, there's really not an excuse not
Shout
to
out,
listen.
Ricky.
Shout out to Ricky DeLeon. Right? But the people that aren't listening are the ones that need to hear it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so I mean, that's how do we, and yet we're redundantly hitting those people over the head that are successful.
But my other point is the driver that's been here for 10 years, that's bought into a culture, that loves JFW, that's doing it the right way, when he hears you preach about the speed, and I know, Jim, I told you I was going to give you some amens, right? When he hears us preaching, I bet he's in his truck like, amen, these guys should slow down. You know what I mean? I don't think they get disturbed by hearing it again.
I hope
Because-
because that's
because
not
we've-
the point, right?
That's great, you guys, because we've kept our culture. This is our next week. We're not like, oh, I don't care about speeding.
Right.
It's the same thing we've cared about for
Day one.
50 years, whatever it might be. Yeah.
This is going to sound corny, you guys, but I was just thinking, isn't it kind of like your favorite song? When you get a new favorite song, don't you listen to it and you never get tired of it? You listen to it again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JFW is my favorite song, and I'll never get tired of hearing it. You know, let's keep talking.
Bring
But
bright, shiny red truck.
The bigger part about that, Dave, I mean, you bring that up, and you know, hopefully that veteran driver, you know, is taking that rookie and seeing a mistake, and hopefully that person can help guide the rookie, right? You know, and hopefully the rookie is open to hearing some guidance advice, right? Like, hey, I saw you do this. Try it like this next time. It's easier or better or safer or whatever, you know. And hopefully that creates an amicable relationship rather than, hey, dumbass, I can't believe you did
Dave,
that. You know how lucky you are you survived, or
Bring that
you
up
know,
in
if the
almost
brothers see you
every
do that,
interview.
you're going to be fired instantly, or you know, whatever the case may be.
It's the veteran that's creating that culture for the new guy, and it's usually a very short time that new guy is now a veteran.
Right.
You know, maybe 3-4 months, and all of a sudden, this other guy is saying, "How do I get this fuel cloud to work?"
Right.
You're pumping,
Yeah.
and yet he's still a new guy, but yet the weight is on his shoulders to be that ambassador for
Right.
that other new guy.
Yeah, I tell you what, we got some new guys that are very impressive right out the gate as far as their culture goes and their standards.
Yeah.
We got people that walk through the door that are teaching some of the older dogs new tricks. Right,
That's
off the
awesome.
bat.
And it's funny how that person comes along once in a while. Is like, how long have you been here?
3 weeks.
But it just seems
Yeah.
like forever. Like it's a good, comfortable shoe
It's
you put on.
refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Absolutely.
Brother Dave, you got anything before we move on to Super Dave's High Road Hauler? You've just been kind of quiet.
You know, well, because the majority of this Jim kind of brought up, you know, with the from the previous
Right.
podcasts and obviously safety meetings, but have your radio on. You know, I gotta touch on one of those things. You know, it was either last week or the week before. We're making announcements in the morning. It's slow out. It's wintertime. You know, and Scooby did a great job. Got on the radio and was like, "Hey, everybody, you know, it's cold out. It's wet out. We just got a snow. You know, stay off the shoulders of the roads. Don't pull off, you know, someplace you shouldn't be. Stay on the road. The guys delivering out to the farms and the dairies, stay in the center of that dirt road. Don't get off to the shoulder in case it was too safe." And by the end of that day, within 12 hours of him making that announcement, we had to go pull 2 vehicles out.
Right.
So I guess, number one, have your radio on. Number two, listen. Understand what that is. I guess maybe listening to the radio, I equate that to looking at those signs. You can't just ignore what you hear. You can't just ignore what you see. You have to understand what you're doing a little bit. Take that minute and realize what is being said, what is being talked about. If you don't understand, call and ask. Call right on the radio and go, what are you talking about? I don't understand.
Right.
So, because we would much rather educate someone, and that doesn't ostracize you. That makes us realize, hey, this person's not getting it. We must be doing a poor job at explaining it or educating them. And that takes a village. So we're all better as one, but you have to participate. You have to be in. You have to listen. So,
absolutely.
My 2 cents.
It's about 3. I like it. It's good sense. It's good sense. Soup, ready to hit us with the high road home?
I am. So I get asked occasionally, Dave, do you ever recycle any of these high road Hollands? And I am guilty. I've been doing them for 7 years now, once a week. So I have a few of them, right? And so when I'm, for a lack of a thought or a lack of a topic, and it does take some time to put this stuff together. Like last week's, I wrote the whole thing in, 20 minutes and finished it up because I had this thought about the sun and the winter doldrums and stuff. Well, this week I was pretty busy right up to go time here, but I found an excellent article that hits so home to what we talk about on the podcast, and not only about trucking, but about life. So this one here is 5 secrets to success from an Army Ranger. And it starts out, have you ever met a person that is quiet and subdued? And then you get to know them a little more, and you find out they are quite a badass. Well, I had the opportunity to sit down with a friend of mine, Tom, recently, and I asked him about his life as an Army Ranger and what lessons he was able to take with him. As I listened to the stories, Tom was telling me some of which I knew I could never do. I couldn't help to think, man, this is one badass dude. You'd never know it when you'd meet him, but trust me, he is. As recalled the lessons he had learned, this is what he taught me. Be prepared. Tom recounted some of the training he went through, and it's no secret how hard these men and women train, especially at the elite levels of the military, both physically and mentally. Do you take the time to mentally prepare for what you are about to face each day? Or do you head into battle without a plan? Set yourself up for success and prepare yourself every day. Man, does that hit home? I mean, for anything you do, right? Trust. He explained how deep the level of trust went within the team, and part of their preparation was to trust each as though their lives depended on it, because it usually did in that case. Do you trust your preparation and the plans you make, or do you doubt yourself and or your team? If you have thought through your plan and take every precaution to ensure your success, you need to trust and go for it. And I say that a lot when I'm going over the creed with people. Together, we are accountable for our words and our actions, and that's about building trust. Being accountable is building trust for yourself within that team. The next one, don't quit. We've all heard that you should not quit, but we also know it's easier said than done. Through his training and missions, Tom found out that he had a greater resolve than he thought ever possible. Over time, a sense of responsibility to himself and his team was installed in him, which would never allow him to quit. Do you stick with your goals and see them through, or do you never finish what you started? You owe it to yourself to never give up, as Winston Churchill had said. The next one, to create a sense of responsibility. Tom knew that his team was only as strong as the weakest link. So he took his responsibility seriously. He wasn't about to quit, and more than that he was going to do whatever it took to ensure the success of the team. Thankfully, many of you won't have to risk your lives, but you will be responsible for the livelihood of others, whether they are your family or coworkers or friends. Does this sense of responsibility burn inside you to the point where, come hell or high water, you will do whatever it takes and take action? Finally, Tom shared, you just have to take action. Are you sitting on the sidelines waiting to make a decision, or are you taking the necessary action you know you need to take? If you're doubting yourself, don't. If you're doing something of significance, you will have fear. The difference between those that think of doing something great and those that do something great is the action they take. And the quote this week is a quote from Winston Churchill. Difficulties mastered are opportunities won. So there's a little bit of a motivating Hiram
Yeah.
Holland for you. And it rings true no matter what you're doing, when or where.
Amen, Dave. Like Jim's, amen. Amen. Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
that was a good one.
That is a good one.
You know, one of the things you kind of started into that, Dave, about the, you know, people talking and you know, during those interviews and stuff. And our grandpa used to say, still rivers run deep, or still waters run deep. And what he always kind of meant by that is that quiet person, he kind of, you know, you were friends with that guy for all those years and you didn't know he was a badass, right? Because he didn't brag about it.
Right.
Still waters run deep. I mean, that guy had all of this stuff, right, that you kind of weren't aware of or didn't truly know. And
Yep.
I feel like between that, you're either that type of person that you just don't talk about it, right? Your actions speak louder than your words when the time comes. Or what we've run into so many times, especially you doing the interviews, Dave, is that person that comes in and goes, I've hauled heavy equipment. I went down the other side of Florida. I earned 50,000 pounds on it. I do it every day. And I had never, blah, 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 blah. That's usually the person that's not good.
Right.
Because all they do is talk
Usually
about
is.
it, and they are usually not qualified.
Yep.
I mean, it's taken us a long time to understand that braggadocious person is usually not that good, right? I mean, maybe they need to hear that from themselves to get through the day. But boy, 9 times out of 10, that's not our person. That's not our culture. That's not our anything. And it's kind of comical now that we've learned that, because I'm like, oh, that's not our guy. I can like get past it because I don't even need to hear it, right? You just hear that and you're like, oh, that's not our guy or gal, whatever the case may be, right? So yeah, interesting.
But I think there's because one of the persons, we have a newer person here, Dave, and we just all talked about it, and we've asked him to do some different things, and he stepped up. Is he tells you what he's done, but there's no bragging about it. It's just, I've done that.
I've done it.
I've done that.
Yeah, and that's it.
You know, and then when we've asked him to do that or help us with that, he's been a rock star.
Yeah,
He's actually done it.
He's actually done it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not.
Yeah, and
it's
he's
not
very
like
good at it.
like you said, Dave. I've been down the tunnels at 150,000 pounds, and made it all the way to the bottom, and I ran it at 62 mile an hour. And then you're just like, that bullshit.
You ever run a loader? Not that small.
right, exactly. So there's that, that small line, and you appreciate that in people, Dave. You're just so right.
yeah.
Who wants to kick off the final thoughts?
I'll go because I seriously, Super Dave, I owe you another amen because I robbed a High Road Holland, and I want to bring up that when I reviewed them, I came up to 2019, went back to 2015, so I went through 208 roughly of the High Road haulings, okay, unless we missed a week in one of the years. And I grabbed one from June 28th, 2017, Super Dave.
Which one is that, Dave?
I don't know, but this one was from October of 2016.
Wow, you beat me. You beat me. Well, hopefully, you'd revisit this one at some time, but I had to bring it out. I'm not going to read the whole High Road Holland, but part of it was, and it goes along with yours so well, but here's a powerful question that will support you with a positive attitude adjustment when you need it most. So, and I just love this part because it means so much to me. Who would you be, and what else would you see if you removed the thought that's bothering you? And I just thought, oh, the thought that's bothering me, if I just removed it, So I guess if you got something bothering you, sometimes you just have to not think about it so much, or think about it in a different way, right? So it goes on to say, identify a specific thought that's been troubling you or been troubling your worried mind lately, and then visualize how your life would be different if you removed this thought. Okay? That one negative thought, kind of like you just said, Dave, the positivity. So how would it change your outlook on your present life situation? What other possibilities and opportunities might you see? What else would you be able to accomplish with this shift in your focus? And I know, talking about all this, that we're talking about the same thing over and over. We are definitely trying to change our focus of how we're going over this stuff. That's what we're trying to do here day after day. And the quote from Albert Einstein, Dave, on the bottom of your High Road Hauling is, and I love this, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we use to create them.
I remember that.
I mean, how many times
Yep.
do we just think about the same thing over and over and over? And if we just step back, or you have a problem, but you leave, or the next day you look at it and go, well, that's what's wrong.
Yeah.
Because
You're
you've
fresher, or
yeah,
got some
you've changed
sleep,
your
or-
thinking.
Yeah.
And so I guess I beg everyone, or I'm pleading, rethink. When you're pushing that speed limit, you're pushing the following distance, you're pushing, whatever it might be. What if you changed your thought on that? How would your day be? Much more relaxing, much more safer. Maybe you'd save somebody's life someday if you just changed your thought about how you're driving.
Love it.
Always be that 98% guy or person or gal driving. So yeah, that's my. I stole it, Dave.
Blasphemy.
Good job.
Good
Jim.
one.
Good
Yep.
job. I'll jump in there. Just, we started the podcast. We talked about Sean Payton and some football stuff, and in the years past, we've always used some football analogies and stuff like that. And I guess we use things like, hey, we need to win the Super Bowl or whatever. And the hiccup on what we do is we're playing the season and the Super Bowl and everything all in one day. Every day is the Super Bowl for us. We have to win. And what we mean by that is we can't have penalties, right? And that penalty costs our team. It's either a foul, or it's something against us, or, it set us back 15 yards, or, some people get ejected from the game, right? Like we had yesterday, or it could be a penalty big enough that, it causes something where the team loses, right? So, I don't know how many people watched the Bengals Chiefs game this weekend, but right at the end of that game, number 58 from the Bengals, he pushed Mahomes, kind of had an illegal hit after Mahomes was already out of bounds, and I didn't see this part, but I was talking to Jim about my final thoughts earlier, and he brought up the point that, hey, the coach didn't talk about that. The media immediately brought that up, that said that guy lost the game. And I'm not bringing up that guy lost the game for the team, because even if there wasn't that penalty, pretty good odds that kicker for Kansas City would have made that field goal, even though it was 15 yards further back. My point is, it was a penalty against their team. So when we have someone go to the port and they're overweight, our team got a penalty, right? It's something that goes against our team. Whether it's for the game or for the day, that adds up, and you wind up either having a winning season or a losing season. So I'm just using that analogy that we all are not only responsible for ourselves, but you're affecting your team. When we're talking about the driver that, 62 or 64 miles an hour through the 35 mile an hour zone, right? That's a penalty against our team. Did we get caught? No, luckily we're proactive enough that Samsara alerted us to it, or Dustin found it, or whatever the case may be. And we have to be self-aware. We have to be self-policing. That was kind of one of the thing on the cart narcs, right? We have to police ourselves. One of the jokes the week prior to the cart narcs was a deal that said if we didn't put our carts back, it shows you're part of a lawless society. You couldn't live in a lawless society or something to that
You're
effect.
savage.
Yeah, and I guess maybe the football analogy puts it in a little different term of what you're costing the team by getting these penalties, right? It could be speeding. It could be going to the port overweight. It could be, rock overflowing the side of your trailer and breaking windshields coming down from the canyon, because you didn't see that when you loaded, or, rocks left in your drip tray and it's breaking windshields in the car behind you. Those are all penalties that add up to our score at the end of the year. Do we make the playoffs? Do we make the title game? Do we make it to the Super Bowl? But yet technically we're playing the Super Bowl every day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Otherwise those penalties add up and we're done. We don't make it anywhere. We can have a winning season or a losing season, and gosh, I both Jim and I are so proud, but JFW as a whole, I think we've had a lot of winning seasons, right? But it's not due to lack of effort on our part, right? The whole leadership team, everyone involved here that's preaching safety, talking about safety, talking about speeding, these things that, if you're on the other end or the receiving side of that, you may think that's bad when in actuality it's good.
Right.
You're working for a company, or you're part of a team that is asking you to be safe. They're asking you to do the right thing, right? We're promoting doing the right thing. You have to kind of step back and think about that, oh my gosh, wait a minute. They want me to be safe. They want me to do it right. So I guess those are kind of my closing thoughts or final thoughts, that please just do it right. It's not difficult. And let's move forward. Let's be great. Let's win that Super Bowl today and every day and the rest of the year.
Great thoughts.
That's awesome, Dave. And again, trying to reach them with sports analogy or whatever we do. The thing is, as I'm listening to you though, is it doesn't take that many penalties or mistakes to have a losing season.
Right.
And that's the edge we live on, is where we go out and we've had some great winning seasons, but we never want to have a losing season, and it doesn't take a whole lot to have one. And that, it scares me in the big scheme of things.
Yep. Sue?
I'm going to kind of tailgate on that a little bit too, but I'm going to go back to what you mentioned, Jim, earlier in the podcast about kind of pushing the limit, pushing the bar or pushing the threshold, whatever
envelope,
you said.
yeah.
Envelope, yes,
Yeah.
Thank you. There's times or situations where you're encouraged to push the envelope. Like if you're an athlete, right?
Yeah.
You want to cut 2 seconds off of your time, and you want to work out just a little bit longer, a little bit stronger, so you're going to win your race or whatever you're working towards. But driving a tractor trailer truck, you can't do that. It's not about pushing. You have to be careful. You have to be safe. I mean, any little thing can turn into a huge thing, like just dropping a rock off the top of your trailer, So you have to be aware of your situation. Again, back to situational awareness. And I have always said, when I was training people and things like this, there's times when you can go fast and there's times you absolutely can't.
Yeah.
And so many times people are trying to go fast or trying to make up time or trying to get that extra load in areas where they shouldn't be, like in that 35 mile an hour zone, and you just can't do that.
Right.
So
Good thoughts, Dave.
Yeah, I love listening to you guys, Dave, because it just makes me think of the different things, as we're going, because how you push the envelope, Dave? You do your pre-trip and post-trip every day. You don't skip one. That's pushing the envelope. That's being different, checking it out. Like when you said there's times to go fast and not go fast. Well, maybe you jump out, and I don't want anybody not 3-point stance, but you brush off your tailgate fast. You make a game out of it. You run around with the hammer, hit your tire, see how fast you can do it, and you jump back in the truck, but nothing's unsafe there.
Right.
You're just being more efficient. Let's say you pack your lunch. That's pushing the envelope.
fast.
That's being fast. That's pushing the envelope. you know, of I'm going to do this different, you know, instead of the envelope of unsafe. Yeah. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
so my final thoughts is, as you guys heard, we did let somebody go yesterday for mobile phone usage, right? Being unsafe, being distracted. What I found interesting about it is the driver, he wanted to sit down, you know, and wanted to talk more about it, you know. So he came in, we talked, and his comment that really caught me off guard was, I can't lose my job today. You know, if I lose my job, everything that I went through, everything that me and my wife been through, I'm getting ready to buy a house I won't be able to buy. Like, I can't lose my job today. And he kind of put the pressure back on us, you know, or kind of made us responsible for his actions. Well, if you couldn't lose a job today, then why did you pick up your phone again yesterday? You know, this is a guy that we met with, we showed video to. He was on a last chance agreement for being distracted in mobile phone use, right? What made him pick up that phone without thinking about the ending in mind? What made him pick up that phone and continue to hold it instead of saying, you know what, I can't lose my job today, I'm not going to use my phone, right? But then when it came to the point of losing his job, now all of a sudden we're doing this to him. You know, like, it's our fault. Like, I can't, you know, I'm gonna lose a lot if I lose my job today. Well, you should have thought about that before.
Right.
You know, own your shit, be responsible for the things that are in your world. Just do your job. So
Yeah. Again, Jim, there's another thought, and I wanted to make sure, and I knew you were leading that way of saying that this person had a last chance agreement,
Yeah.
had been brought in
Yeah.
in the past, been shown all this, all those kind of things, because I think it's admirable to fight for your job.
Absolutely.
I think everybody deserves to fight for the job. We've had people come in and go that we've went to let go, and they fought for their job, and we're like, we're going to fight for you also. We're wrong. We're not going to let you go. It's changed our minds.
yeah, this
You know?
guy actually did that once before.
Yes, it's
You
all,
know?
yeah, and I'm just reiterating what you said is
Yeah.
been through all that, but you still
did it.
did it.
What can I do to change your mind? Well, you've already had that chance.
Yeah, not pick up the phone the last 3 times we've talked to you about it,
Exactly.
and it just, wow, that's just, basic. He never puts the card away.
No.
I guarantee you. I guarantee you, if I would.
That's not where that cart goes, lazy bones.
Yeah, just that cart doesn't get put away.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
We got the Creed, man.
Creed. I'm going to screw it up.
Yeah, because our Creed's better than Purdue's. I'm just.
Our Creed's pretty badass. It's hard. If you look at that Creed, it's hard to beat it.
Yeah.
honestly.
It is, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
you could use it for your personal life. I do for mine.
Yep.
Put that card away.
Yeah.
All right.
we go.
Together,
Together
we
we
face and overcome all that stands before us. Together, we are accident-free. Together, we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together, we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together, we are accountable for our words and our actions. Together, we are the JFW family. Bam! Good job.
Good job.
great day.
Yeah. Be safe, everybody.